And then, so kind of breaking down what trust the process actually looks like and breaking down our guarantee as a company, what we guarantee and what we don't guarantee. I don't want to talk too much about specific numbers of win rates or approval rates, and then wait times per decision, because it really does. One, it varies on the case, but then it also varies by the state, and then it also just changes all the time.
Sure.
So I don't want to talk too much about that, but what we mean by trust the process, well, first I'll start with what we don't mean by trust the process. We don't mean that you have to trust us because we're guaranteeing that we're going to file for benefits and then you're going to get approved.
Right.
And it's going to be fast and it's going to be on the initial application. That's not what we mean by trust the process. What we mean is we guarantee that we will go as fast as Social Security will let us. We're still at the mercy of Social Security, though, with the wait times.
Right.
And then trust the process that if they deny you, if you're disabled and they make a horrible decision and they issue a denial, you got to trust that we will file the appeal and we'll go to the next step.
Right.
Because what the process is with disability, the filing the appeal is part of the process. You know, you know this a lot more than I do. When you get a denial, it's not surprising.
No.
Even if it's a horrible decision, it's like,
Right.
Yep, Social Security makes horrible decisions, and here's one of them. And so trust the process. Let's file the appeal. Let's go to the next step. So it's not we don't guarantee that you get approved at any stage. We guarantee that you're going to have a really, really good chance of approval compared to not working with us. And then same with the wait times. If the initial wait time is 6 to 8 months for the initial application, we're not going to get it done in 3 months.
Right.
Because we can't. We want to, you know. If we could expedite it, then we will. But we're
Yeah,
at the mercy of Social Security.
Right, and your case is in a queue. The only time that it's not in a queue is with the appeals council. But in every other instance, what I mean by that is that if 600 people applied before you, then you have 600 people that their cases have to be adjudicated before they get to yours. If 600 people have filed appeals on denials, and you have two, and we have for you, then those 600 appeals have to be processed before yours are processed. When you get to a hearing, 600 people's hearings have to be scheduled before yours. You know, that's just the way it works. It's a queue, and that's the way that it works. Now, the appeals council is strange because they handle cases from all over the place. They've never been able to give me rhyme or reason to their wait times and how they process things, and I don't think they ever will, because they're the most insulated component of Social Security. You really don't know what they're doing.
And that's the step after the hearing level.
After
For
the
people
hearing,
that don't know, if you have a hearing with the judge and they still deny you and you appeal it
It goes
a third time,
yeah.
it goes to the appeals council.
Goes to the appeals council,
Yeah.
and they're centralized. There's one appeals council. They're in one location right outside of D.C., a place called Falls Church, Virginia. And I get decisions from them in 3 weeks, and I get decisions from them in 14 months. And there's no rhyme or reason. I can't see a queue.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I sent this case in 3 months ago, and, you know, I got a decision. But there was a case that I sent in 14 months ago, and I still haven't gotten a decision on. There's no rhyme or reason. But otherwise, you know, for sake of our argument and to make the point that we're making, otherwise you're going to be in a queue. And that is basically when it's your turn, they'll get to you. And there's very little other than what we've talked about in prior podcasts, you know, terminal illness or eviction, foreclosure. Other than that, there's really no way to leapfrog folks who are in the same boat you are. They filed earlier than you did.
Yeah. So from the beginning of the case, when we take it, you gotta trust that, you know, my guarantee as an intake specialist, when I actually offer people representation, when I talk to them about their case, and then I say, hey, it looks like we can help you out. Is that something you want to move forward with? I'm not saying, hey, we can definitely 100% get your case approved in 1 month. Right. I'm saying that we're confident we can win the case, and we're willing to continue working on it, you know, go through phase 1, phase 2, the hearing, the appeals council. If the case looks good at the initial application, we'll keep working on it.
Right.
And then same with you. Once we start working on the case, once it gets up to the hearing level, we're not going to bail on you if you have a really good case. Now, if you go back to work and you no longer qualify, or you lie to us and then you're mad at us for you lying to us for some reason, then that's a different story. But if you have a really good case, you got to trust the process, meaning file the appeal and then file the next appeal and talk to the judge and go through that, exhaust the whole process before you give up,
Right. And trusting the process is cooperating with Social Security also.
Yeah.
If they're asking you to fill out a form that you filled out, this happens a lot, by the way. They ask you to fill out a form at the reconsideration level, and it's the same form that you filled out, 6 months earlier at the initial level. Just fill the form out, just if you wanted to write nothing has changed and then you send it in, I guess it's okay. But they're sending you the form. They want you to fill out the form. Trusting the process is making sure that you pat them on the head and give them what they want. And they want you to fill out this form again, and they want you to send it in. And they're going to give you a deadline. You have 14 days to do this or 10 days to do this. And if we don't get it, we're going to make a decision based on what we have. And a lot of times they're like, well, we don't think we have enough, and therefore we're going to deny you because you were responsible for providing information and you didn't, which would show in a very real way that you weren't trusting the process. So trust the process, which sometimes the process is kind of placating SSA, kind of patting them on the head. Why they don't need this again, but they're making me do it. And you can do it then. Just do it.
Yeah. And I want to double down on what you said about switching representatives, because I hear about this a lot. When you go through the process with the representative and it's been 3 months or it's been 4 months or it's been 5 months or even longer, if maybe it's been a year and you haven't gotten a decision, a lot of people will fire their representative. They'll say, "You're out, buddy. I gave you 5 months. It's been too long. You're taking forever. Clearly you guys aren't working very hard. I'm hiring someone else."
Right.
And then they hire someone else and they're just waiting the same amount of time, like total time for a decision. It's the same.
Right.
That's not only is that like a neutral switch, a lot of times that'll hurt your case because now you were working with this representative, now you're working with this representative, and they don't know much about your case because you just hired them. And so speaking from experience, what I know about the company, when you work with a different representative and then you hire us, we win a lot of those cases. When you go at it alone and then you get denied or you add us on later, we win a lot of those cases. But the best chance of approval is from day one you hire us, we file the application, and then we build the case for however long it takes to get a decision. And then we file the appeal and we keep on building the case. And then it goes to the hearing level. You are significantly more likely to win your case if you, one, hire a representative in general, but you stick with the same representative and you let them build the case for maybe 2 years, however long it takes to get a decision or an approval.
It's not just me saying this. A lot of the federal attorneys that we work with have said this, looking at our cases, and that is that you guys are really good at building a case. And I knew that. I knew that our employees are really, really good at making sure the evidence is up to date, making sure that if we can get an opinion, we have gotten an opinion from a provider. We make sure that everything's in the file that needs to be in the file before we take it in front of a judge and puff out our chest and tell the judge why Social Security should approve the case. We're really good at that. And again, part of trusting the process is maybe asking yourself, if you believe that we're not doing something that we should, if you believe that we're somehow just not putting any effort into winning your case at all, ask yourself why we would do that.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of just not putting forth an effort? What's the benefit? I'm not going to build the case. I'm not going to call Social Security and ask them, it's been 7 months since, we send this in. Why haven't you made a decision? Which we do that all the time. What's the benefit of not doing any of that? Just kind of sitting on our hands and hoping for a decision. Because what's going to happen is that case is much less likely to be approved than one that we're puffing at our chest and pushing Social Security to approve. And I go back to, I have a vested interest in winning your case. I don't get paid unless I win. If I spend 2 years sitting on my hands and doing nothing except paying my employees, for all of their hourly work, and I don't win your case, you know how much you owe me? Zero. But you know how much money that I've spent in those 2 years paying my employees? Okay, it can be substantial. There's no reason for me to sit on my hands and do nothing. Trust the process. I mean, just trust, logic.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be doing this unless I had a vested interest in you succeeding. And I do have a vested interest, not just monetarily, but, I like winning. And I absolutely love to prove that Social Security was wrong when they denied you. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the way that I would summarize things, and it's pretty harsh, but, we win a lot of cases, more than the national average. We are significantly better at communicating than other firms. But don't hire us if you're not going to trust us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's harsh, and I don't say that to be a jerk, and I know nothing you've said in this podcast is to be a jerk, but if you're not going to trust us, if you're not going to do what we say and follow our recommendations and treat us like professionals, just don't hire us.
Yeah. Trusting the process is trusting our expertise. If you called us, if you picked up the phone to call us, I'm assuming that it's because you want some expertise in your case. Been doing this 35 years. I got expertise. But if I give you, my expertise, and it is, when's the last time you saw somebody for that? Okay, well, you need to get into treatment right away. Nah, I'm not going to get into treatment. I don't know why you're even saying that. You're right. Don't hire us. We're not the firm for you.
Right.
If you're not going to do what we tell you to do, trusting the process, trusting our expertise, go somewhere else. There's tons of representatives out there. Go someplace else.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go with us.
All right, cool.
All right.
Trust the process.
Yep.
If you have a question about your disability case, give us a call at 615-453-9151 Monday through Friday, or click the link in the description of this video.